Hi everybody, this is Nicole, and in this video I'm going to go over how to start teaching your horse how to ground tie. So ground tying is whenever you put the rope on the ground and the horse stays still as if they are tied to the ground. The success of your ability to teach a horse to ground tie and their ability to successfully execute it is based on their knowledge of the rope. So if the rope is quiet and the rope is on the ground, then it should not mean that we are to be moving, because they move when they follow the rope. Now, it does take a little bit of time to teach a horse how to ground tie and how to stay focused in ground tying. So this is my 2-year-old. She has a very basic understanding of ground tying, and I think this will be a good demonstration for everybody to see how I start to introduce it. So I'm going to groom her, and I'm going to walk through how to teach it and what I'm doing and why. So first thing we need to be able to do is just stay still. So can we keep our feet still at all while I'm standing here? And you're gonna see a lot of this like head movement and stuff, and I'm gonna try to keep my own boundaries because she is distracted and she has trouble focusing because she's young and they have to learn how to focus. So I'm gonna get my brushes out. I'm gonna ask her to stand square because she moved when I walked away. And the first thing before I drop the rope on the ground is I'm going to just hold the rope kind of long like this so she can start to feel as if she was ground tied, because I'm not holding her tight and it isn't on the ground, but I could very easily pick it up if I needed to, if she wanted to walk off or something like that. So you will find also that horses will ground tie better when you are doing something with them, like grooming or whatever it may be. I do like my horses to stand as square as possible. She's really wide in the front right now, so I'm gonna fix that a little bit. Move your leg. Because you wanna try to practice good posture anytime you can, especially with these young horses that typically are in this like splat posture where their legs are real wide and they don't seem to really know where their legs are. So you can start to teach them how to stand underneath of themselves whenever they're with you, whether it's on the halter or under saddle, by practicing it here in the little details of what you're doing in the barn before you even ride or tack up or anything like that. So my expectations for her right now is just to, again, stay still. I try not to let them sniff around the ground too much, because the next thing you know, she's gonna wanna, paw to investigate what it is. She could get her rope or her leg caught in the rope, or she could just start following that train of thought and leave. It's okay if they want to check in and sniff a little bit, but I don't like them to try to bump me with their nose or anything like that. And I don't like them to come into my space really quickly or anything. Now I do have to be aware though that sometimes when the horse brings the head around, it could mean, is this a sore spot? See, I'm scratching that spot again. Is it itchy or does it hurt? I don't know. She's checking it out. So everything the horse does means something, whether it's something that says, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable there, or I like that, or I'd like you to move me on to something else because I know that you are able to give that to me. So the other thing to consider too is that every horse has to learn how to build up a duration to stand still. They don't just suddenly stand still. So if she can't handle standing still and starting to learn how to ground tie based on the mental state that she's in right now or in other situations, then I'm only going to try to, I'm going to try to get her into the right mental state to be able to stand. But then also I'm going to be aware that a more finished horse, a broke horse, is going to be able to stand for much longer than a 2-year-old that is learning how to focus and learning how to follow the rope. So she's doing really good here. It's Ohio and 45 degrees in December, so it is super muddy everywhere. So I try to give my horses a curry as frequently as I can to break off as much mud as possible. So that way their hair can stand up correctly when it does get cold. So since she's been standing good, I am gonna test out the ground tie. I like to put the rope out in front of the nose. So that way, if they do step off or something, they don't step immediately onto their rope. It's just a little bit of a safer spot to put it. Now, if she does go to step off, then I will reach forward and pick up the rope. Depending on what kind of step she takes will depend on what I do. So if she takes just one step forward, I might be like, here, come back and pick up the rope. If she says I'm leaving, like I'm walking away, I will ask her to stand still, but then I will take that as an indicator that she's mentally ready to move on to something else. And I'm gonna try to honor that, go do that, and then come back to this skill that we're working on. So you gotta try to listen to them. You have to listen to them, and you have to pay attention to what it is that they're trying to tell you. It's not just bad behavior or she's being stubborn or ornery. It's just the horse being a horse and doing what they like to do, which is move and investigate and all kinds of different things. So as this horse becomes more experienced with ground tying, I should be able to drop the rope just about anywhere and she should stay. However, there's gonna be some instances where if she's already really worked up and I just drop the rope, she's not gonna stay. So you have to think critically about every situation and realize, what is my horse capable of doing at this moment? And what can they do really well? And that's what we're gonna do. So if you go somewhere and your horse is nervous and you're having trouble getting them to relax, most of the time movement's gonna be helpful. And if you have to sort of groom the horse while moving, who cares? You have to do what you have to do to help the horse get relaxed. Then before you know it, they'll stand here real quiet and you can do what you need to do even in more high stress situations. So now I'm gonna switch my brushes. So I'm gonna show you how, when I walk away from them, how I ask them to stay still. So you're gonna find a lot of times when you go to leave, they just wanna follow you. But again, we're learning how to ground tie. So first thing, make sure my rope's kind of out in front of her. I'm going to hold my hands up as I walk away and act upon the eye to keep her in place. And to start, I'm not gonna go real far. I don't need to walk super far away. But she's doing really good there. So I just ask her to halt, and then she's like, I don't know what to do with myself when you're not maybe doing something with me. So then I'll just come back and start brushing her. And that's how you build duration, and that's how you work your horse into being able to stand still for longer. So what I'll do now is I'll finish up my brushing. I will pick her feet while she's standing here too. I'll do a full normal grooming routine. If I was going to tack her today, I can eventually start to tack her just like this as well. And over time, she'll become really, really good at ground tying. So I didn't mention earlier in the video, but reasons why you would ground tie. So ground tying is great because it helps to reinforce again the meaning of the rope, but also it's a great thing for your horse to know how to do because you never know when you're gonna need it. And every horse should know how to stand and be groomed and tacked without having to be tied. They should be able to stay put without you holding real tight underneath of the rope. I think it's a really important basic skill, and there are going to be some disciplines and some activities that people are going to do with horses that it's going to matter much, much more than maybe the others. But I would consider it a foundational thing for every horse to know. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please just leave a comment below. Be sure to check out other educational videos on my Patreon, and you can follow my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching.